Oh, hello there. I'm Bilchan.
I'm Nimakung.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chapter 5, Section 1 of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
As.
Ah.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Author Conan Doyle. Chapter 5, Section 1. Years 82 and 90. No easy matter to know which to choose and which to leave. However, have already gained publicity through the papers in so high a degree, and which it is the object of these papers to illustrate. To have baffled his analytical skill, and would be narratives, beginnings without an ending, while others have been but partially cleared up. Proof which was so dear to him. There is, however, the fact that there are points in connection with it which never have been, and probably never will be, entirely cleared up. Interest, of which I retain the records, of the Pardo Chamber, of the Amateur Mendicant Society, who held a luxurious club in the lower vaults of a furniture warehouse, of the facts connected with the loss of the British Barque Sophie Ensign, of the singular adventures of the Grice Patisons in the island of Raffal, and finally of the Camberwell poisoning case. In the latter, as may be remembered, Sherlock Holmes was able, by winding up the dead man's watch, to prove that it had been wound up 2 hours before, of the greatest importance in clearing up the case. All these I may sketch out at some future date. I have now taken up my pen to describe. It was in the latter days of September, and the equinoctial gales had set in with exceptional violence. All day the wind had screamed and the rain had beaten against the windows, so that even here in the heart of great mankind through the bars of his civilization, like untamed beasts in a cage, as evening drew in, the storm grew higher and louder, and the wind cried and sobbed like a child in the chimney. Sherlock Holmes sat moodily at one side of the fireplace grass indexing his records of crime. The howl of the gale from without seemed to blend with the text. Sea waves. My wife was on a visit to her mother's at Baker Street. White, said I, glancing up at my companion. That was surely the bell. Who could come tonight? Some friend of yours. Except yourself, I have none, he answered. A client. If so, it is a serious case. Or Sherlock Holmes was wrong in his conjecture. However, for there came a step in the passage and a tapping at the door. The vacant chair upon which a newcomer must sit. Come in, said he. The man who entered was young, some 22 at the outside, well-groomed and trimly clad, with something of refinement and delicacy in his bearing. The streaming umbrella which he held in his hand, and his long shining waterproof told of the Ferris wheel through which he had come. He looked about him anxiously in the glare of the lamp, and I could see that his face was pale and his eyes heavy, like those of a man who was down with some great anxiety. I owe you an apology, he said, raising his golden pince nez to his eyes. I trust that I am not intruding. Give me your coat and umbrella, said Holmes. They may rest here and the home will be dry presently. You have come up from the southwest. Yes. I have heard of you. Mr. Holmes. Of course. I have been beaten 4 times, 3 times by men. None of those which come to me are. And yet I question. So, I know. In all your experience. You fill me with interest, said Holmes. Pray give us the essential facts from the commencement. Please. My name, said he, is John Openshaw. But my own affairs have, as far as I can understand, little to do with this awful business. It is a hereditary matter. So in order to give you an idea of the facts, I must go back to the commencement of the affair. You must know that my grandfather had 2 sons, me, Uncle Elias, and my father Joseph. My father had a small factory at Coventry, which he enlarged at the time of the invention of bicycling. He was a patentee of the Openshaw breakable tire, to retire upon a handsome competence. Planter in Florida, where he was reported to have done very well. At the time of the war he fought in Jackson's army, and afterwards under Hood, where he rose to be a colonel. When he lay down his arms, my uncle returned to his plantation, where he remained for 3 or 4 years. The 6th year Horsham. He had made a very considerable fortune in the States, and his reason for leaving them was his aversion to the Negroes, and his dislike of the Republican policy in extending the franchise to them. He was a singular man, fierce and quick-tempered, very foul-mouthed when he was angry, and of a most retiring disposition. During all the years that he lived at Horsham, I doubt if ever he set foot in the town. He had a garden and 2 or 3 fields round his house, and there he would take his exercise. Though very often for weeks on end he would never leave his room. He drank a great deal of brandy and smokes very heavily, but he would see no society and did not want any friends, not even his own brother. He didn't mind me. In fact, to be continued.